Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked? Here we go. Your dial set correctly to USA Prepares. Thank you for being in class today. Jason's engineering the broadcast at Genesis Communications Network. I'm Vincent Finelli. And hour number one, we're going to be talking with Phil Hudok. Hudok.info, HUDOK.info. We're going to be talking about the Bill of Peace 2020. Hour number two, it's going to be just me, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on the coronavirus. These are my opinions based on my research and discussions with people who are in the know. And I'm going to tell you what I think you need to consider doing, how to prepare, what you need to think about, and how bad this really is. So this is a warning. For those of you who are weak of the digestive system, I suggest you tune out hour number two. If you're a young person and you shouldn't be listening to conversations that are terrifying and frightening, I suggest you don't listen to hour number two. If you don't plan on taking any action for yourself to protect you and your family, there's no need to listen. Just go play video games. Okay, I'm delighted to be broadcasting with Phil Hudok, hudok.info, HUDOK.info, Bill of Peace 2020. He's going to give us an update as to where his organization is. Welcome, Phil Hudok.
Hey, Vince, it's great to be. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Got an echo. Sounds like you're in a tunnel.
Guess what? I'm in the Smithsonian National Postal Museum. I ducked in here so I could talk to you because I just left Union Station heading for the Capitol, so I had to find a place where I could not be shivering.
Well, it sounds, is it empty?
It actually opens at 10 o'clock, so I hope there aren't a whole bunch of people passing by. I'm in the lobby. I'm not actually going through the security, the metal detectors and all that stuff. But
it's ready to go off.
From the news I heard, it sounds like the world's going to hell.
It is. And, I wanted to say this tongue-in-cheek. I was thinking about saying it, but I don't want to put a damper on your efforts. But the way it's going right now, we all may be sovereigns, just by the course of the coronavirus. I mean, we may be on our own as a result of that. But
yeah.
Let's hope
we're on a train wreck ride. Yeah,
we are on a train wreck ride, absolutely. And the light at the end of the tunnel is another train. That's what I see. So, Phil, what have you determined? What's the status of Bill of Peace 2020? Tell you what, why don't you give us a thumbnail sketch of what it is first for those who might not have heard about it?
Yes, Bill of Peace 2020 is a opt-in to an arbitration award which validated a new contract, a new way to interface with the government, which is pretty much not interfacing with the government, which is what people need to do. In order to practice free will, you have to make decisions, but when the government makes all the decisions for you, and they tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and what happens if you don't do it, you're not really a free man. You're not really in the land of the free and the home of the brave. You're in the land of the slave. So this is an amazing thing. It's an actual permanent injunction against the government. They have to settle. A federally, okay, and so that's what we have to force them to do. But as Washington said, George Washington, he said, government is like fire. And if anyone, heats their home by fire or goes camping, whatever, you got to control the fire. Fires get out of control. And it is our government. We are the people, and we need to think in a different way that we are the ones who employ our servants who are supposed to do our bidding. We're not supposed to be at the beck and call of these people who, government has actually replaced God in that that's who we're supposed to trust. That's who's supposed to protect us. I believe I'm a child of God, so I claim my birthright to the Creator, and I abide by His laws. And if I don't hurt anyone or damage property, I shouldn't be interfaced with, you see. So this is a neat opportunity because it was done on behalf. It was done on behalf of all people. At the present time, over 3,200 people around the country have opted in. And I just got to meet this week with 40 people in a hotel who worked with me and went down to D.C. and told our representatives what to do and how to do it. And those 40 people came from the state of Washington, the state of Oregon, Missouri, Ohio, Massachusetts, North Carolina. And these are the kind of people you want to be around because you can trust what they say. They're real people. So in a nutshell, that's what Treaty of Peace or Bill of Peace, we call it Bill of Peace because we're affecting a bill on the private side where Congress can provide remedy and relief for damages and to make people whole.
Phil Hudok, what has been the reaction in Washington with the bureaucrats and the alleged representatives whom you've spoken with?
Right. Well, the legislators have people that work for them. And I figured this, but it was verified that what they try to do is to deflect anything from them. So a lot of people that we've interfaced with here are they're part of the establishment that are doing what they're told, and their job is to make it hard for anyone else to make the legislator do his job. So there was a lot of deflection. For instance, this should be handled in the courts. And, now I spoke to the West Virginia, two attorneys for Senator Manchin from West Virginia. That was probably the most interesting exchange that we had. These two gentlemen, one was his senior counsel, and the other was an attorney too. So we got to talk law. We got to talk the rule of law, and they admitted that everything I did was right, and that Congress could indeed provide remedy and relief. But he said they're just going to sit on it. That was his words. They're just going to sit on it. Now, that's the problem. We need numbers of people because, like I say, government is like fire. You have to force it to act, and you have to restrain it to keep it from spreading and doing damage. And our government has done tremendous damage. But, that was an interesting exchange because this man truly understood contract law. Now, some of them act like, we really don't know what you're talking about. And I'm sure they went through the public school system, so they aren't very well educated into how things really work and how it's supposed to work and what contract law is. And it's really very simple. But it was interesting to talk to people. Amazingly, some of the people that were just there wanted to know why we were there. And then when we told them, they got interested. And they said, well, how can I find out more about this? So at the present time, we have 3,199 in counting. So I'm sure it's over 3,200 we're telling people you can continue to opt in. We're doing it a little different now. If you opted in before, you simply sent your opt-in papers to us, and then we put them together in digital form to give to Congress to be included in the bill. However, here's what we're doing right now. We're asking people to go to the website, and there are 2 videos that I posted that were done here in the last 2 days. And on those videos are phone numbers for the 3 representatives that I have from West Virginia. And one is Senator Manchin. A second one is Senator Capito. A third one is Alex Mooney. He's a congressman. So these 3 folks have been given the information. They admit that this could be handled, it could be affected right here. And so we're putting the pressure on them, and we're asking people to call them. And anyone that opts in now, their paperwork will go to these 3, 2 gentlemen and 1 woman who's Shelley Moore Capito. She's a U.S. Senator. So we're putting the pressure on. We told them we're not leaving, we're not giving up. This is a commitment. This is a conviction. Convictions are something you have to do. Rights are something that you can do. So this is beyond a right. This is a duty. This is a conviction. So I got to meet some really wonderful people. They're working their buns off. They're the kind of people you'd want to be around. They understand who is in charge, who's the creator, and who do we really owe allegiance to. It's our creator. And so we're just trying to get government to, number 1, give remedy and relief where it is due. And number 2, this will be a wake-up call, because we are whistleblowers saying this is a train wreck. And we don't, we want what our founders promised us and what our God bequeathed us with these blessings. But you've got to have responsibility, Vince. A blessing with no responsibility won't happen.
I'm at hudok.info, HUDOK.info, class. And first line, headline, homepage says, quote, government of, by, and for corporations in default and dishonor, end quote. Phil, where is the telephone number of these 3 alleged representatives?
Yeah, if you go to the video there, the Jim Jordan's video where we went into Jim Jordan's office, and they allowed us to videotape in there. We asked them for permission. Many of the offices, as a matter of fact, most of them, they will not let you tape inside the office, but he did. And at the end of that video, you will see the phone numbers, the 3 phone numbers for these people that we want to target. We want to force a bill on the floor, and then we'll see who's who in the zoo. And this is not anywhere near over.
Who's who in the zoo? Yeah, Phil, if you'd like, we can give out those numbers right here, right now, when we come back from this break. We're going to a break. We'll be right back with Phil Hudok, hudok.info. Phil Hudok's with us, hudok.info, hudok.info. Class, Phil Hudok is telling you, in plain English, that we've been lied to, cheated, we have been misled, we've been told that things are great. They're not great. And if you'd like to learn more about the Bill of Peace 2020, go to hudok.info, please. Check it out and see if you want to opt in and regain your sovereignty. Phil, do you have phone numbers that you'd like to give out on the air? I have no problem doing that.
Do you have access to a computer there? I just moved outside where it's a little quieter.
Okay.
Because if you are on hudok.info, you can actually go to that Jim Jordan page. If you just click on that, it'll take you to a page. And on that page are the 3 phone numbers. So I apologize for not having them ready.
Oh, that's okay, Phil. I'm in the middle of nowhere, and I don't have enough bandwidth to do it. So I barely have enough bandwidth to broadcast, let alone. So I can't go searching well as other broadcasters do.
Yeah, let's just say info. When they go there, I will make it prominent on the main page. But right now, they can see it on that Jim Jordan page, where it also has a link to a YouTube. Yeah.
May I?
Okay.
Is that someone?
I just got kicked out of somewhere. Not where I'm supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what that's like. I've had the police called on me when I was at 2 conventions, and they threatened to arrest me if I didn't leave. So I understand what this is like. You just minding your own business, not causing any problems, and then someone with a uniform and maybe a badge and maybe a gun and nightstick and taser and body armor and handcuffs and a radio and 3 other guys just tell you how it's going to go. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. We're talking.
That's true. The people here have been very nice. I'm talking just the regular, normal, non-governmental people. They've helped us with directions, riding the metro, and it's sad. It's sad that our servants are of a different mindset, and it's really sad. I mean, I do this because, number one, it's a conviction to my Creator, and number two, the founders of this country did it for their posterity. I mean, what are we going to leave for our children except a hellish world?
Mm-hmm. Phil, we live on a farm, and I have advised our family that we have a gate around to the entrance. We have farm gates, and they will be locked. They will be locked. We don't want people coming here. Now, some people might take offense at that. Well, it's our property, and that's nothing more than what you're talking about. You just want to be left alone. You don't want people showing up telling you what to do. Like, Phil, did you walk up to that person who told you that you couldn't be there, or did he walk up to you?
I had gone down some steps, and he was leaning over a railing, and he just said, "You can't be there," and move. And so he was like about 20 feet above me, looking down as I was trying to hide somewhere where I just could, communicate with you without all this noise. It's crazy. I grew up in a suburb of Pittsburgh. It was actually West Virginia, but it was steel. And I had decided when I was in college that I was going to go to the mountains somewhere and kind of live a separatist life. Not that I feel I'm better than anyone, but I just wanted to build a log cabin out in the mountains and be by myself. And boy, that didn't happen. I did move into the mountains, but unfortunately I'm now at ground zero. But, I don't know. The Lord put me in this situation, and I do trust that everything happens for a purpose. And, me talking to you today, that's ordained. I don't believe anything happens by accident or is outside God's perfect will. So, I just try to serve Him by doing what He leads me to do.
Phil, I've got a comment about what you just said when we come back from this bottom of the hour break. Phil Hudok's with us, hudok.info. We'll be right back. Phil Hudok, I believe you said that just as we're going into the bottom of the hour break that you were ordained to be here at this time. And I have been on the phone, I've been on conference calls across the world with USA Prepares instructors over the last couple of weeks. And all of us whom I've spoken with believe that the sum of our experiences in our lives to this point have uniquely prepared each and every one of us as instructors for this moment in history, which could be the takedown of humanity. Does that sound something like you agree with, or how does that sound to you?
It's amazing how God orchestrates things. I've seen it over and over. The older I get, the more I realize He's in control, even when sometimes I think I am. But he's totally in control, and it's awesome. He's a living God. He's in control, and He keeps His promises, and that's my hope. My hope is in the Creator, not in anything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, please continue with what this means to us, Phil Hudok. What are the benefits to us regaining and demanding our sovereignty, our freedom from the oppression of the government? And that sounds to me like that means federal, state, and local.
Yes, the local government is just an instrumentality of the state government, which is just an instrumentality of the federal government. So this arbitration order affects the interfacing of you, every American that so desires. It affects how you interface with the government. And basically it says you have diplomatic immunity, the same thing that a diplomat would have. Like I've said, it's like being a Native American on the reservation, but you don't have to stay on the reservation. The only thing that the government can interface with you is if you commit a capital felony worthy of the death penalty, and then they can ask you to leave. They can force you to leave the country. They can say you have to leave. And that's exactly what they do with a diplomat. A diplomat is under a different law form than our Constitution. Well, now, because the government's Constitution contract was found to be void, you can now go under a different law form, which is dictated by that contract. It allows you to have a land patent for your property. It says you have the option of all kinds of things, such as paying taxes. You don't have to pay income tax, property tax. The government has to do an accounting of anything, any bonds or trusts, which is very interesting for those that understand the Susquehanna Trust. And it also requires that the government destroy all documentation they keep on you, except to provide you with a document of immunity, which is the same thing that a diplomat would have. So the structure for the government to affect this is already there. It already exists with diplomatic immunity. And, you know, being in D.C. and watching all these people who are trying to get something from their government. I mean, I saw people that had pictures of hypodermic needles on their backs because they are pro-vaccination. I saw people with black shirts with white circles with the word one. And when I asked them what it was about, well, they're about getting all kinds of programs for the people. So, you know, I would say we were the only people there who were not looking for something from the government. We were looking to exercise our responsibility that the rule of law be upheld. And in this case, that we receive remedy and relief. And it's peaceful. We're not trying to bring down the government, Vince. We're just saying at least make us whole. And hopefully this could be an example. This, you know, we are whistleblowers. We're saying you can't do this. You're not supposed to do this, and we're not going to allow you to do this. You know, it's kind of like over my dead body, you know. I mean, it's been 5 years, and this is the culmination. And those that see what it is are so excited about it. I mean, I was with the greatest bunch of people that you could imagine in the hotel that came from all over the country. So when we talk to our congressman, we say, you know, this is everywhere because the word is getting out, you know, through you, through Dave Hodges, through Coast to Coast. People are hearing this. What they need to do now is do something. Act. I've got an idea. If someone's listening now and they can go to that website and get those phone numbers and call in, well, then they can be responsible. If they feel that responsibility, do it. But they will be on the website, and people need to learn about it anyway. And if you're too afraid to do it, I feel sorry for you, but at least help others. At least make some calls. For me, it's been 5 years. I'm not, I've been blessed, but most people wouldn't go through what, I and some others have gone through.
Phil, many years ago, in the corrupt state of Missouri, there was a House bill to ban AR-15s, AK-47s, magazines greater than 10 rounds, shotguns with specific kinds of grips. And I heard about that. I called Jefferson City, Missouri, the state capital, and I asked for Jill Shoup's phone number, and I got it, and Rory Ellinger's phone number. I got their cell phones. And I said who I was, and I said I didn't have their phone numbers, and I got them. And then I went on the radio, and I gave out their cell phone numbers because those two thugs alleged representatives wanted to steal our personal property. So I gave out those phone numbers on the air, and I suggested to our class that if they want to, they can call those numbers. And I said, when a government type calls us, we don't get their phone number. It says blocked or unavailable because they don't want us to know the phone number that we're paying for, that they're calling from. And I said, so, I suggest you be polite and tell them whatever you think. And the next day they were on television, KMOV television, St. Louis, Missouri, and they were complaining that they were being yelled at, screamed at, beat up from all kinds of people. And where did they get our numbers from anyway? And that bill was dead within 1 day. 1 day. So what I'm saying, Phil Hudok, is that giving out those phone numbers is a great way for people to reach their alleged representatives and tell them whatever they think. I suggest being polite, but that kind of thing really terrifies them. Absolutely terrifies them, because there's another person, a real live person on the end of that phone. And then another one, and then another one, and then another one. And it didn't let up. It was there all day and all night. It didn't let up.
Right. I belong to the NRA and the GOA and the West Virginia Citizens Defense League, and I'm all for protecting our gun rights, but we can keep our guns and still lose.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Phil. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about the method of protecting our rights by phone calls, by letting these alleged representatives and their minions know that there are a bunch of us, and there are a bunch behind those who haven't called, and we've had it, and here's what we want, and here's what they are not going to do to us. That works.
Right.
That works.
And the point I wanted to make was, you folks that are fighting for gun rights realize that the rule of law across the board has to be demanded. So, I'm just saying don't stop there. You know what I mean? When I interfaced with these representatives, with these legislators, I was hoping they were going to say to me, hey, I've been getting calls, I've been getting faxes, I've been getting letters, I was hoping I would hear that, and I hope I hear that in the future, because people do what needs to be done. It's very simple. It needs to be done. Government will only act when they're forced to. And if it's uncomfortable for them, if their phones are ringing off the hook, if their fax machines are running out of paper, that's when they feel that they have to do something.
Mm-hmm. So, Phil, in a nutshell, what this does is it disconnects the government, federal, state, and local, from we the villagers, we the people. And we have to behave properly. It doesn't mean Mad Max, we can do anything we want and we're immune. to me, it means that we have to behave properly, kindly, nicely, honorably, the golden rule, the 10 commandments, those kinds of things, and just leave us alone. That's what this means. And it means that there'll be no government inspector looking at our house, our land, and saying, okay, just adding this all up because we're going to tax you on all this. And it means no driver's license, and it means no license plates required by the state. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. You don't need permission from the government. However, you are still responsible. This doesn't affect how you interact with other people. You still can't damage property or persons. You're still responsible for that, and you could be sued or sue. But we're just talking government now. A government that is unlawful. It's that simple.
Phil, I have gotten phone calls from cities, and they demand that I do certain things. And they demand payment for things that they don't deserve. And my response to them is, so what's your name? And what's your title? And what do you do there? Okay. So are you telling me that your boss is telling you to call and harass me and demand money for something I don't know? Is that what you're telling me? And then I said, I'll tell you what, why don't you tell your boss to either grow a set or take them out of his pocket and make these calls himself. Let's see that. And I'll tell him how it really is. But what happens is, and the reason I'm saying it this way is because these bosses, these bureaucrats, have people who work for them, but yet I look at them all the same way. I don't say it's the boss and the little people, be nice to the little people because they're told to beat you up. I'm looking at them as all, as a cartel, as a syndicate that is working against me and my family. So I don't look at them and say, they're just, that's their job. I look at them as they signed up for that job and they're willing to beat us up. Do you look at it the same way or differently?
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head.
Okay, so you do look at it the same way. Okay, we've got one more segment with Phil Hudok. And if any of you has that number that he's talking about, please call in. We'll be right back. Plus, the website is hudok.info, HUDOK.info. Phil Hudok is with us. Phil, what are the steps that we need to take to opt out of the corrupt, greedy, oppressive, unlawful corporations that are stealing our hard-earned wherewithal, the sum of all of our family's efforts, the people who take our money at the muzzle of a gun and give it to themselves and their friends? What do we need to do to what steps do we take to unshackle ourselves from these government corporations?
Absolutely. Well, they need to get educated and due diligence. This is free will. I don't want to talk anyone into doing it. I want them to do it because they understand it and they want to do it. So that's why we have that website. It's been there for 5 years now. And we ask people to do their homework, find out what it is about, understand. You should never go into anything you don't understand. That contract law, that's the essence of contract law. And once they look at it, if they feel that they can make their own decisions in life rather than have someone decide their life for them, then this is for them. But if they're a person who wants to be told what to do, like I said, you want to do it and all that, well, then this is not for them. This isn't for what we call people that act as sheeple. These are people that act as heirs of the Creator who were given life, the blessing of life, to live and live abundantly. So, you were saying that the government is like a crime syndicate. That's exactly what it is. As a matter of fact, I was thinking the other day about the mafia, and I thought the mafia is actually more lawful than the government. The mafia has rules they won't break. You don't mess with someone's family. Well,
it's interesting. What's interesting about that? I was talking with one of our instructors, and he said, the government learned from the mafia. And I said, no. No, the mafia learned from the government.
Uh-huh.
The governments have been doing this for thousands and thousands of years, killing people that they think are their enemies. And just think of a king, around the time of the Vikings, and think of kings and what that was all about. And they'd say, well, we want that land over there, and we're going to have to kill a bunch of people to get it, but it's worth it. We're going to lose a bunch of ours, but it's worth it. Let's go do it. That's the kind of greed that we're talking about. These guys, whatever you have, they want it. They want a piece of it. And that piece is getting bigger and bigger. If you look at how much we are paying in taxes, if you look at back in the 1970s, around 1971, it used to be that Dad would go to work and Mom would stay home and raise the children. And then all of a sudden, around 1971, Mom started going to work. And I've asked instructors, why do you think that is? And they haven't figured it out until just now. And that was because of taxes and inflation. That's government corporation greed. And that's why now you have to have a couple jobs in order to stay afloat, because of the taxation, the oppression, and the greed. Well, enough's enough. And if you're not successful with this, then the next step will be the Second American Revolution. Do you agree with that?
This is the peaceful way.
That's what I mean.
It's either the ballot box and our government doing what they're supposed to do, or, it's the other box.
I'll say what it is. That's the cartridge box.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, people just need to look at this and realize that you've been conditioned, and you need to deprogram yourself or get someone to help you, because this is not how it's supposed to be. It is, but it's not the way it's supposed to be. So,
and the government training camps have conditioned your children to believe things that are not true. For example, class, what kind of a government do we have? Democracy. That's what they say. That's what's in the book. That's what they regurgitate. That's what they believe, because that's what they've been conditioned to. And the dumb media say the same thing. I'm talking about the talking heads. Those highly overpaid people who tout the same lies. We live in a democracy. Even elected representatives tout the same lies.
Exactly. Yeah. If you can, research the 1933 Army Training Manual, and it tells you exactly what a democracy is. It leads towards mobocracy. It's that simple.
Well, a democracy would be two foxes and a chicken deciding what's for dinner, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
That's a democracy.
Dog eat dog.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we're headed, class. And we'll talk a little bit more about that second hour. Phil Hudok, I want to thank you. And, I heard sirens and horns in the background, and I'm thinking that's exactly what we don't want. That's exactly...
what you hear is our future if we don't do something.
And I just heard it as you were saying that in the background again. Yeah, lights, sirens, guns. There it is again.
Yep. Thank you, Vince. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil. Be well. Be safe. Hour number 2 coming up. That's going to be me talking about the coronavirus, what I think you need to know, what I've learned, how it's impacted the country, and what it's going to do to the supply chain, which is a real big one. Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Here we go. Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. What you're about to hear is disturbing, frightening, and not for younger audiences. The following is a compilation with items from my unfinished, unpublished, and not for sale book. What I'm going to say will contain my thoughts, my concerns, and my reasoned opinions. But I'm going to tell you, don't believe any of what anyone says, including me. Do your own research, form your own opinions, and develop your own solutions. Okay, here we go. China has been reporting that there are a little over 2,000 dead from the coronavirus. My sources say 200,000 dead. Not 2,000, 200,000 dead. In New York State, there are 700 people as of yesterday monitored for the infection. 83 are under isolation. In Italy, there are now as of yesterday, 400 infected, 12 dead. American universities are canceling study abroad programs. The Florida International University is suspending programs in Italy, Japan, and South Korea. And all of its students and employees were told they must return to the United States immediately. Japan is closing schools nationwide to halt the spread of the virus. In Iran, one nurse witnessed 8 deaths during one night shift. And there are typically 3 8-hour shifts at a hospital. So if you multiply 3 shifts times 8 deaths, that's an extrapolation of 24 dead in that hospital in one day. In Seattle, Washington, Bothell High School closed for cleaning and disinfection after a family member returned to work after a week of international travel, and we don't know the locations where that travel was. So that family member returned for a week, and a member of that family worked at the school. The family member was taken to the hospital. They shut the school down. The Pope has canceled his events for the second day, his engagements after the second day after he became ill. Now, why would he become ill? Is he shaking hands? Is he out in the public? The coronavirus is in Italy. The coronavirus infected the Iranian vice president, and it killed Iran's ambassador to the Vatican. Maybe that's part of the reason why the Pope is canceling his engagements. A dog in Hong Kong tested positive for the coronavirus. Now the pets are going to be under quarantine. If you have a pet in Hong Kong and it's out walking around, there are people with sticks beating those dogs to death. The reported R naught is about 1.2 to 2 point something. R naught is the reproduction rate of the virus. So, for example, if the R naught were 1, one person with it would infect, on average, one other. If the R naught were 2, one person would infect 2. And those 2 people would infect 2 more. So, with an R naught, as reported by the media, the dumb media, 4 people would infect 5. Well, last week, Gwyneth and I believed and reported on air that we did not believe the government numbers of 1.2 to 2 point something. We didn't believe it. So we said on air that our number was between 12 and 14. 2 days ago, I was told by a reliable source in Europe that the number is about 20. R naught equal 20. That means that one person, if that's true, would infect 20 more. And those 20 would infect 20 more. Can the coronavirus travel through plumbing? Do you live in an apartment? Do you eat at restaurants? Do you drink from a water fountain? Do your children drink from a water fountain? Do you stop at public buildings, government, corporation buildings, and have a drink from the water fountain? Can the coronavirus travel through plumbing? Yes, it can. Switzerland banned all events of over 1,000 people, including the International Motor Show in Geneva, Switzerland. When we had our first Get Prepared Expo, we had about 6,000 people there. And in that contract, I inserted a clause saying that if there were a force majeure, a force so great, a force unexpected, but it could happen, that I would not be responsible for the expo. What would that be? That would be a flood. That would be a war. That would be a bomb going off. It could be a virus. This was in 2011, and I put that in the contract. In Switzerland, the International Motor Show, which expects thousands of people, is impacted by the ban on all events over 1,000 people. The coronavirus is a force majeure. It is so big, it is causing schools and corporations to shut down. Auschwitz, the Auschwitz Museum, has banned visitors from all countries infected with the coronavirus. Poland does not have the virus as of yet. At least I haven't seen reports of it. So do you have a freezer? Do you need one? An average freezer will consume about $10 worth of electricity per month. Now, I'm just averaging that over the cost of electricity across the country, and I'm averaging the average freezer's consumption. So it's going to cost about $120 a year to run a freezer. If you have one, that's what it costs on average. If you don't have one and you want to get one, that's what it's going to cost. During this hour, I'm going to give you some very specific recommendations based on my research, based on my experience of what is the best value and who is offering it. And currently there is availability of it. So I'm going to give you an example. If you buy a upright freezer, a frost-free model, it will cost more to operate than an upright manual defrost freezer. If you buy an upright refrigerator with a freezer that's manual defrost, it will cost less than a frost-free to operate. A chest freezer is more efficient, generally speaking, all things being equal, than an upright. And the reason is cold sinks, falls down toward the earth. Heat rises. So when you open the refrigerator or freezer door of a vertical refrigerator or freezer, an upright, the cold falls out of the door, just falls down. So you lose that cold, if you will. With a chest freezer, the cold falls down, but it's already in the box. So it's going nowhere. So that's the reason why chest freezers are more efficient. But they're not as easy to use because some foods get buried in them. So here's an example. Right now, in our neck of the woods, bacon at Walmart, for example, is about $4. And I rounded these numbers for radio. Radio is the theater of the mind. So you have to use your imagination. Bacon is $4.50 a pound, roughly, at Walmart. At Aldi, it's about $3.50 a pound. And I saw a sign on a store that had, a couple days ago, 10-pound boxes of bacon for $1.33 a pound. Now, can the average person, can the GDP pick up a 10-pound box of bacon and put it in their freezer? Probably not. You have to have I'm talking about a freezer of the refrigerator freezer combination unit. You kind of have to have a standalone freezer to do that. Let's say you decided that price was so good, $1.33 a pound for bacon, which is extraordinarily good. If you bought 8 boxes of that would cost $106. That same 80 packages of 16-ounce each bacon at the Chinese factory outlet would be, at $4.50 per pound, would be $360. You could run that freezer that you don't have for over 2 years on the savings from just that 80 pounds or 8 boxes of bacon with 10 pounds in a box. Now, I'm not suggesting that bacon is the best thing to eat. If you do eat bacon, I suggest you boil it twice in water, because water is the universal solvent. It will remove the nitrates and the nitrites from the bacon better than just cooking it in the pan. Panic buying, and by the way, this is kind of how my book is written. It's thought after thought after thought after thought. Just things to think about. Panic buying will set in soon. It already has in Hawaii. We'll be right back. So, class, I mentioned that panic buying will set in soon. It already has in Hawaii. And my biggest concern of the coronavirus is the domino effect, the damage that is being done and currently is getting worse to the supply chain. We have no idea how many items come from China. For example, in the studio, I have a pair of scissors, and it says it was made in Brooklyn, New York. It's an old pair of scissors. Did you ever think that scissors were made in Brooklyn, New York? Did you ever think that shirts were made in New York City? We used to make them. Now, if you look at the labels on your shirts, you'll see Thailand, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh. You don't see New York City. How much would a shirt cost made by an American in New York City? Would it be $200, $300? I was looking at a pair of boots. I can't believe how much boots cost. $400 now. They're going up by the day. But I'm not kidding. By the day. So what should you consider buying for improving your chances of survival during self-quarantine? What should you do? Do you think that you'll be able to go out, go to the supermarket? Are you going to want to? Are you going to want to go where people are coughing and sneezing and hacking? Are you going to be concerned? You know, there was a child on an airline, and she started coughing. And the people, this is like yesterday, and the people were so concerned who were trapped on that island, that airplane island. They were so concerned that they demanded that the entire family of this girl be removed from the airplane. Do you think that the airplanes can be disinfected between flights? Do you really think so? Do you think that? And do you want to be in an airplane that has just been disinfected and get whatever it is, that killer toxin that they use to disinfect an airplane? If they do, I don't think they're doing that on a regular basis. They probably will in the future, but I think flights are going to be fewer and farther between. So what should you consider buying for improving your chances of survival during a self-quarantine? We are self-quarantined here at the farm. Baked beans at 49 cents a can. Corn at 49 cents a can. Green beans at 49 cents a can. Angel hair pasta, $1.39 for 2 pounds. That's about 70 cents a pound. Spaghetti sauce in jars, 24-ounce jars, 85 cents a jar. And if you get it, I suggest you consider getting it without meat and without cheese. It's not as flavorful. However, it keeps longer. Now, where can you get it at those prices? Aldi. A-L-D-I. And so, are the baked beans any good? Yep. Are they what you're used to? Probably not. Is the corn good? Yep. Is it GMO? Yep. But we're talking about survival right now. And we've broadcasted with Dr. Norm Shealy. He doesn't like sugar. He believes it's poison. No disagreement from me. But if you're in survival mode and you're starving, are you going to say, yeah, but that can of baked beans has sugar in it? Are you going to say that spaghetti sauce in the jar has sugar in it? Or are you going to say, I really appreciate being able to eat that because I'm just about ready to vomit from hunger? Another thing to consider is those dried beans that come in a bag with some spices in a packet, and you soak them overnight, and then you heat them up, you simmer them for hours. That's a great way to go. Inexpensive. Chopped meat. If you're going to buy chopped meat, you can get it in the 5-pound tubs. You can take the freezer size sandwich bags, a Ziploc. You take a 1/4 pound of it at a time. You don't have to measure it. Just take a small clump. Put it in the corner of the bag. Flatten. Of course, you want to wash your hands when you do this. Flatten that bag on the counter, which has already been disinfected. Spread it out in a really thin patty. Put it in a Ziploc bag. Squeeze the air out of it. And you can store about 15 or 20 of those Ziploc freezer bags in a gallon-sized freezer bag. And you put them flat in there so they keep that flat shape, and they cook a lot easier. And the flatter they are, the less energy you're going to use to cook them. And, of course, you can brown one of those and put it in in with the spaghetti sauce. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. I'm really frustrated, class. It's the GDP that's going to get us killed. These stupid, greedy morons. They're everywhere. They're in front of us. They're behind us in our vehicles. They're in the parking lots. They're in the stores. They're just too stupid to understand what's going on, and they're going to get us killed. Okay, so I mentioned you buy chopped meat. If you buy chopped meat, you get it in a 5-pound tub. And from that, you make your 1/4 pounders in Ziploc bags. I mentioned how to do that. You can store 15 to 20 of them in a gallon Ziploc freezer bag. And you can use those 1/4 pound packages one at a time to brown and put it in your spaghetti sauce. And here's the economics. So 5 pounds at $3 a pound for chopped meat is $15. You get 20 1/4 pounders out of it, and that's going to be 75 cents a patty. Now when I talk about that kind of meat, I'm talking about let's say 85-15 or 90-10. 90-10, 10% being fat. Okay, you take that 24-ounce jar of spaghetti sauce, and it's $1. Let's see, 85 cents for that, 75 cents for the meat, and 1 pound of pasta, which is going to cost 70 cents. It's $2.30. That'll feed 6 people. How long does the spaghetti keep when it's dry, in a cool, dry place that's dark? I don't know, at least 5 years. How long does the spaghetti sauce keep in a cool, dry place? At least 5 years. So if you're not buying spaghetti sauce and pasta, why not? If you need medicine, I suggest that you see if you can stock up and wean off. Research how to do that. I'm not going to tell you how to wean off. I'm not a doctor. I've done it. You can do the research now. You don't need to go to the movies. You don't need to go out to eat at the restaurants. You need to, in my opinion, pay attention, learn whatever you can while you can. Forget what people say about comfort food. It's idiotic. They say, well, when things are really bad, you need comfort food. Really? You need sugar, candy, cupcakes, brownies? Get back to basics. Being prepared is having what you need before you need it. Opening the refrigerator door and saying there's nothing to eat is an example of not being prepared. I mentioned before, I'm very concerned about the supply chain shortages. And here's an example. How many people do you know that are really, really good at their jobs? You know, expert at their jobs. How many do you know? I submit to you that those who you think are really good at their jobs are pretty senior in expertise, pretty senior in age, and they're senior in their jobs because they know more than the other people. They're the ones that tell the other people what to do because the other people don't know what to do. Now here's where it gets scary. Of all those people that you know who are really good at what they do, I'll bet there's just a few of them. Now, what happens when the senior people like those get sick and die? Who's going to take over that spot? Is it going to be a millennial? Who is going to run the lathe, the machine? Who is going to order the parts? Who's going to fix the computers? Who's going to update the systems? Who's going to run the grid? Who's going to manage the deliveries? Who's going to be in the motor pool to fix those broken down vehicles? Who's going to do it? How many times do you think that the senior mechanics at the dealership are asked by the younger mechanics, "Hey, Joe, what do I do here? I don't know what to do. How do I fix this? I've never seen this before. Oh, Joe, I just broke this. You got any more of them?" What do you think is going to happen to the supply chain when the seniors start dying off? Can the millennials fill their shoes? Ask yourself that question. I suggest you look at hydrogen peroxide for your home sanitation and plain unscented chlorine bleach for disinfecting water wells, sinks, and toilets. Your neighbor, through carelessness and recklessness and ignorance, can contaminate your well. Can the virus, a coronavirus, be spread through plumbing? Absolutely. How about sewer gas? You know, there's a place in Springfield, and when you go in there and you go in the men's room, it smells like someone opened up the sewer pipe. Every time you go in. For a decade. So do you think that sewer gas that's in that men's room could contain the coronavirus? And the answer is yes. So what are we talking about? Plumbing drain traps. And what are they? So if you look under any sink that's properly installed, you will see a pipe coming down from the bottom of the sink, and it'll go down, and it'll do a U-turn and go back up. And then it'll either go down from there or it'll go into the wall. That's called a trap. It's filled with water. What kind of water? Well, whatever went down the sink. And the idea is that water will stay in that trap until it evaporates or until it's replaced with new sink water or toilet water or shower water. And the idea is it is a barrier to prevent the sewer gas from backing up into the sink. So if a sink was installed properly, that will do its job. But if it gurgles and bubbles, that means that the sink is allowing back pressure from the sewer, the septic system, or the municipal sewer to come back up into the sink and into that room where the sink is. These traps are under sinks. They're in the toilets themselves. If you look at the side of a toilet, you stand not in front of it, but look at it from the side, you will see that trap. You will see that S-shaped trap. That's so that the sewer gases don't come up through the toilet. It's under bathtubs too. And that's what the chlorine is for. I suggest you look at how to disinfect drains with chlorine bleach. I suggest you consider getting some. I suggest you put it in a safe place where it won't get punctured, because chlorine is absolutely deadly. That's how it kills the bacteria and the virus. I believe there's nothing on the planet that can survive chlorine in a proper concentration. Not trees, not grass, not household bacteria, nothing. It's so deadly that chlorine gas was used in World War I to gas the enemy. It's prohibited by the Geneva Convention. So the coronavirus can travel in plumbing supply pipes and drain pipes. And you may want to learn how to disinfect your water well if you have one. And you'd use chlorine bleach to do that. Not the scented stuff, just the plain old regular, we can call it like Clorox. And you don't have to buy Clorox. You can buy it in the house brand name and save some money. Because your well can be contaminated by your neighbor. Your well may be perfect right now. Right now, perfect. No bacteria. And a minute later, it could be contaminated. So you can keep testing it and wait for the results, or you can prevent the toxins, the biologicals from impacting you and your family by shocking, S-C-S-H, shocking your well. And look up how to do it. It's on the internet. Your government just announced yesterday that the coronavirus trajectory is unknown. They don't know. And if they did tell you the trajectory, they'd be lying to you. More schools and public events could be shut down. So if you've got tickets to go to the ball game, movies, some great event you've been looking forward to, you got to be crazy to go. I was talking with a friend, a dear friend of the family I've known for years, and they have a dilemma. The dilemma is there's a wedding coming up, and one of the family members is going to be in the wedding party, and it's going to require air travel. What would you do? What would you do if a family member said, hey, we're going to have this wedding. We'd love to, it's going to be so great to see you. A couple months away, maybe traveling several states. And the plan has been to hop on a plane and fly out there. What would you do? Now, for me, that's easy. Yeah, I hope you all have a nice time. It'd be wonderful to see you, but we're not coming. CNBC has reported that airlines have cut hundreds of thousands of flights already. Hundreds of thousands of flights. 200,000 flights were canceled already. You might be forced or urged to work from home. Can you do that? Would you do that? To me, I think that's a great idea. Living in an apartment building is a really dangerous thing right now. Because of the people that come and go, you don't even know your neighbors. And there are leaks in the walls and leaks in the heating systems and, all kinds of leaks. I'd be really concerned about living in an apartment building right now. California is currently monitoring, as of last night, 8,400 people. 24 hours before that, it was 7,000 people. In 24 hours, the number went from 7,000 to 8,400. That's a 20% increase in 24 hours. On Monday, the Dow dropped 1,031 points. On Tuesday, the Dow dropped 879 points. On Wednesday, I'm talking about this week. On Wednesday, it was 123 points, down. On Thursday, yesterday, it was 1,190 points, the biggest drop in the history of the market. About an hour ago, it was 942 points down. it's regained some of that loss. It's now only 537 points down. The Dow is a leading indicator. That means it generally can tell you what thinking is in the business world about the outlook of profitability and the price of stocks. That's what I was taught. We'll be right back. David's on hold, and I'm going to tell you a few other things to do. We're talking about the corona panic. David in Illinois is with us. David, I'd like to ask that you just stay with me for a minute while I finish up.
Yes, sir.
I haven't gotten through more than maybe a quarter of what I wanted to do, but I welcome your call. Class, I've been preaching this for years. I'm blue in the face, and that's the sound of vegetable seeds. And you can get them at Menards right now. They're 11% off. And there's a brand called Valley Green. And they're marked 59 cents, but they're selling them for 39 cents, and there's 11% more off. I'm not saying you have to get them there. I'm just saying that's what I did. Heirloom variety seeds. Heirloom. They're all heirloom. Carrots, tomatoes, carrots, a different kind of carrots, different kind of tomato, lettuce, peppers, different kind of tomatoes, another kind of lettuce, parsley, and broccoli. That's to go along with the garlic, the onions, and the potatoes, and the sweet potatoes, and all the other things that we're planting in the garden, and to go along with the seeds that we have. 39 cents. I suggest you consider getting a bag of fertilizer. Now, we brought in some 13-13-13, not 5-10-5. 13-13-13. Use less of it. There's a United Kingdom government memo that was leaked. Worst case scenario, 80% could be infected. 80% in the United Kingdom. Can that play out here in the United States? Well, let's look at New York. Could it easily, if that happened in New York because of the subways and the taxis and the flights in and out and the congestion, could that easily spread outward to New Jersey and Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia? Of course. And will it? Yeah, I think it's going to do that. Because people who live in New York City and work in New York City have family in those states. The U.S. stock market suffered the fastest collapse from record highs since the first Great Depression. We are now, in my opinion, in the second Great Depression. I suggest you consider getting toilet paper. Where do you get it? The best value is single ply, 1,000-sheet rolls, best price, 54 cents a roll in 12 packs at Aldi. Best price for soap, Dial soap, 4-ounce bars. Dial Gold antibacterial soap, 10-pack, 4 ounces per bar. Get the ones that are 4 ounces, not 3.2. Don't get the 6-pack, get the 10-pack, because the bars are bigger and there are more of them, and they cost less per ounce. Dial Gold. And where do you get those? Dollar General. David, your thoughts?
Yes, we'll be hitting up. We're doing our weekly trips to Aldi's and stocking up even if we need it or not. We have plenty here, and we still get ammo and everything else. But the thing I was going to mention about this virus, they already confirmed there are cases that they've released. They were cleared. They were supposedly through the process, healthy. They are repassing the virus again. So they are reinfecting people again. And my biggest thing is,
14% of the patients who recover from corona test positive again. Exactly what you said.
Right, and they're passing this. They're passing it through their waste. The other situation, the California, I'm glad you mentioned that's originally what I called. They don't even know where that woman came, how she got it. They had her in the hospital for a week, and they had to argue and fight to get her tested. The government did not want to test her. Now, I brought up before about the California situation. Some of you have been in college, some of you haven't. That is a pure, I guess they don't teach the plague. California is going to be a nightmare. They have feces, rats, everything, and all those people. I said this before. How are they going to stop them? They're not. The government sprays us as it is. Do you think they would not result in go to let's spray these border of California to keep them people there, or at least stop them from leaving. How are they going to stop all them people?
David, I believe that you listen and are in class more than most people at USA Prepares. Is that correct?
I try to listen every time. I do not call because I know some of your the instructors, they have a pattern, and I don't want to flow. And I apologize if I called today. But that's
not why I asked you. I asked you because of what I want to ask you next. Have you heard, I've been on this coronavirus since the early days, one of the earliest broadcasts to start hammering about how serious this was. I went really far to say that this is really serious when other people are saying, no, it's no big deal. Even Rush Limbaugh said it's no more dangerous than the common cold. That's dangerous information, what he just said, because it's not true. It's not true. So here's my question. Have you heard me say one thing in the last 3+ weeks about the coronavirus that was not true? Have you heard one thing that's contrary to what you've researched?
No. Everything you say is everything I've heard prior to you discussing it. Other resources that I get access to. I'm just kind of upset it takes a while for everybody else to get it out here to the people.
David, the GDP is going to get us killed through their ignorance, their greed, their selfishness. I'm talking about the blue hairs. I'm talking about the faggots. I'm talking about those greedy, stupid people. They're going to get us killed. David,
all them
so
people, thank you.